Hey guys, Mr. Sema here, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be my first jungle guide ever, and it's going to be on the champion Hecarim, who I consider, to be honest, a very underrated champion. And hopefully this guide will give you guys the incentive to actually try him out in normal games, ranked games, or whatever. So let's get right into it. Let's start off with runes. I personally use movement speed quints, cooldown or cooldown per level glyphs, health and armor seals, and armor pen reds. Runes and masteries in general are up to your own personal preference. This is just an example of what I use, and this is what works for me. So feel free to try and experiment with whatever suits your playstyle best. Now for masteries, I take the standard 21 points in the offense tree and 90 points in the defense tree. The only difference I notice from other junglers is I do take bladed armor. I prefer the health regen because it gives me that extra sustain. I also take butcher and feast to help clear a little bit faster and sustain a little bit better. And again, masteries is all up to your own personal playstyle and preferences, so pick what works best for you. Let's talk skilling and item choices. First off, we're going to take a point in our Q, Rampage, and max it first because it's going to be our most reliable source of damage, and it's going to be our main source of DPS as well. Second point, we take Spirit of the Dread, our W, so it helps with our clearing speed and sustain in the jungle. We don't take a point in E at level 3 like most other junglers. We're going to take a second point in Q to help increase our clear speed even further. And put points in Onslaught of Shadows, our ultimate, whenever we can. For starting items, we're going to start the normal jungling items. We're going to start Machete, 2 pots, and a Trinket Ward. On our first space, we're going to get the Trailblaze upgrade to help with sustain and clearing speed, and mana issues, with some pots and ward are optional. And when we are ready to upgrade our jungle item into the warrior enchantment, we're going to switch to Stalker's Blade, the blue smite, and then proceed to complete our Triforce. Triforce will be the first item we complete, and then we usually upgrade our tier 2 boots to either Merc Treads or Ninja Tabbies. And afterwards, depending on the enemy team composition or what your team needs, we will finish Randwin's Omen, start working towards it, or Spirit Visage. And towards the end of the game, we will look if we need more tanking or we're going to need more damage, and usually if we need more damage, we're just going to complete Last Whisper. Get it? Last Whisper. Alright, it's about time we got into some gameplay footage. Now let's see what this guide is all about. Let's see what we have. So right now I'm just going to show you guys the jungle route of doing the red side versus the blue side, which is, to be honest, if you look at both videos, it's just a mirror of each other. So we're going to start our Gromp, head to our blue, and we smite our Gromp to get the little buff that deals extra damage to the camp. And then when we finish the blue, we're going to head over to the wolves. You can probably note that we do take a lot of damage in our early clears, and that is one of Hecarim's biggest weakness, is his first clear isn't the best. And that applies to a lot of junglers as well, like the tier 2 jungles or tier 3 jungles, as some people would put it. And after we're done with our wolves, we do not base like other junglers do. We will actually go to our raptors and clear them, and notice that we take a second point in Q, and the reason being is we want to clear the small raptors even faster so we don't take extra damage, and also we just want to get our farm going. And afterwards, yes, we do go to our golems, and we do not do our red. We smite our golems or our krugs for 2 reasons. The first one is because it's gonna save us a lot of HP for further clears when we go back and do our Gromp. And the second of all, we're gonna need the Krug buff to be able to do the crabs later on. And we're gonna buy our first jungle item, the Trailblazer, and a few pots. The Trailblazer, we buy it because we're not gonna be ganking just yet. The whole point of this guide is to show you guys how you're gonna be able to just power farm and then be able to carry probably 1v9 later on and lead your team to victory. Though many will view this as a selfish way to play. Remember, this is a guide for solo queue. And for all you guys out there trying to gain elo, this will be a good and different way for you guys to do it. So we do our Gromp, and after we're done with it, we're gonna go check if the Scuttle Crab is up, and if it's up, we're gonna do it faster because we still have the Krug buff that'll allow us to stun it, and when the Scuttle Crab is stunned, he loses 50 armor and magic resist, making us kill him even faster and gaining that extra gold. And after doing the Scuttle Crabs, we're gonna head over to our wolves and keep on going until we finish our jungle path. Notice that even though we bought a pot, we do not need it. The pot serves as more of a safety net in case you get invaded on this second clear and the enemy jungler knows that your red buff is still up and he's trying to contest it. And again, even now, we do not do our red buff yet. The reason why I queued the minion was to charge my Q up, so I get to this 2 stacks faster, because what happens when you have 2 stack of Q, the cooldown becomes 2 seconds, effectively doubling your DPS, instead of the usual 4 second. And now we decide to take our red. The reasoning why we take our red so late is because the red buff is a ganking tool, and we're gonna use it to be able to secure kills to make our ganks more effective and stronger and add extra damage to our champion. So right now we decide to base, and when we base, we're gonna switch over to the Stalker's Blade to give us the Steel Slow effect. So we gain move speed and slow him down, hence increasing our attack damage as well. And at the same time we're gonna buy 2 longswords and a boots. And the boots makes our ganks even stronger, because it gives us a little bit of AD and that move speed to be able to chase down people. The whole point of doing this jungle guide is being able to rush your level 6 as soon as possible. You will get level 6 at around the 7-minute mark, with enough items to be able to skirmish and duel almost any other junglers. And when you decide to go for a gank, you will have multiple ways to catch up to your opponent or your enemy. Whether it be you using Ghost, your Smite, or just using your ultimate to secure or initiate fights. And that is my way of doing the jungle route. The rush level 6 jungle route. This is where 99% of you guys would go, what? But imagine if the enemy jungler comes and counter jungle me. Fear not, let us watch what happens at 2 times speed. So in this game we're going to be jungling against a Nidalee, which is known for having insane clear speed. So there's a potential for her to come and invade us. So let us see what happens. So we start off with our normal jungle route. Start off Gromp to blue, and then go to our wolves, and then we're gonna hit straight into our raptors, and then finish our golems. Now notice the Nidalee's positioning. She decides to go the standard route that everybody does. And that's why we abuse this route, because everybody's gonna assume that the enemy jungler is gonna do the same thing as they are. But no, we decide to do something different. We decide to go for the greedy route. Here we base and she doesn't. It's for us to get our jungle item and get more gold income. We gain an extra 15 gold compared to Mache's, so we're gonna get ahead of the Nilly by this way. So we kill our Groms and check the Scuttle Crab and see that the Scuttle Crab is up and the Nilly did not do it. Right now she decides to base. She is up one camp approximately from me, but we're gonna catch up pretty quickly. And remember, she's one camp up, but she also did her buff, her blue buff. And we still have our red buff up. Here, if the Nilly actually decided to come and check me when she jumped over to go gank the Renekton, we still had 2 pots and we could have disengaged from her easily. And in solo queue, when this happens and the enemy jungler invades you, your team usually can collapse easier on it, and worst case, just give up the buff. So we're gonna finish at the Krugs, and then base and get our items, and then be ready to either gank or counter gank. And right now, if the Nidalee decides to gank and I manage to catch her, I have a huge item advantage. I have longswords, boots that increase my AD, and a smite that also increases my AD, damages her, and slows her. And I have my ghost to also increase my AD even further. And if she tries to run, I have my ultimate, I have my ghost, and I have my E. So she decides to gank bot and come in for a counter engage, and manage to get 2 kills really easily. And on top of that, we also managed to secure a dragon uncontested. The key points to remember is use that level advantage. Use it to the best of its capacity. And use that red buff as well, because you still have it and most of the time the other jungler doesn't. And also be careful of the early levels, but chances are people will be doing the same thing over and over again. Use that to your advantage. Let's look at some of the strengths and weaknesses of Hecarim. He's a late game hyper carry. He is also a jungler, which makes it safer for him to be able to reach that state. He has great burst and great DPS as well. He scales amazingly well with items. He's an unstoppable tank with his W up and endgame items. He has super high mobility, extremely disruptive in team fights. He can dive the backline with ease, and also he's extremely fun to play, so try him out. And bonus points, he can snowball out of control and take over a game 1v9 if given the chance. His weaknesses are, he is very farm reliant. He is snowbally, he relies on snowballing. His early game is very weak and it's abusable, so be careful of that. And this might sound redundant, but he requires items to stay relevant. He's not like Lee Sin or Jarvan or even Vi, where just their sheer CC and utility and disruption is enough to get them through the mid and late game. Alright guys, now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's get into the good stuff. This section is tips and tricks on how to gank with Hecarim. So with Hecarim, what you want to do is, you want to come from behind or from the side. Haha, super funny. So the reason why you do that is, when you come from the back, or from a side lane, or push them sideways, is because your E, your main CC tool, before level 6, pushes them back, and knocks them away and closer to your team, and at the same time it's going to create that small distance that they're going to have to flash away to cover, and once they flash you still have your ultimate up to be able to follow up, secure the kill, and you still have your ghost up or your smite up to be able to just run them down and secure the kill. So as you can see, an example of this is in this clip we decided to come from behind, and because we did the superior route, the superior jungling path, we can counter gank the Rengar who is only level 5 and we're level 6. And even though the ultimate at the end was unnecessary, it was great to be able to secure a double kill, just like that. Easy as 1, 2, 3. And another trick for ganking in general, that doesn't just apply for Hecarim, but other champions as well, is be able to predict if a jungler is coming for a gank, or if the enemy top laner or the enemy laner in general is going to play aggressive or no. And all you do is just walk up, sit in the bush, and be patient about it. Anyways, you're getting free XP from your laners, so why not just enjoy the view and see what happens? And if they decide to go aggressive, bam, come in, secure the kill, and just kill him. In this case, trample the creep and mess up the gank. But it's alright, we always have our ultimate. Always have it for kills. Another tip I can give you guys is always save your ultimate. Most of the time you won't even need it to be able to finish off a target. It's mainly to secure kills and close the distance they use. They create when they use their flash or either of their dashing abilities. Or let's say champions like Lissandra, when she E's, you ult after her. Or LeBlanc, when she W's and R's, you ult after her. So remember, you don't need your ultimate to run people over, just run them over with Ghost and Smite. Now that we're done ganking lanes and camping and setting up tents and doing barbecues all over the enemy laners, let's talk about teamfights, one of the most fun aspects of League of Legends. So in teamfights as Hecarim, most of the time you either have to choose between peeling or diving the enemy team, but when you're fed, the best thing is to do is just assassinate them. So what we're gonna do is just dive the enemy carries and just burst them down with our insane damage. So here Thresh lands an amazing hook, and I managed to get Dilution, and he's out of the fight almost immediately. And right now, since Hecarim is not a burst champion but more a DPS champion, we can prolong this fight and actually win it because Hecarim's sustained damage and DPS is off the charts. It's insane. Like, I would say it's broken. But that's just me being biased because I love this champion so much. And after a successful teamfight, things you want to do is look for objectives. Is there a tower to take? Is there dragons? Can we do Baron? Can we set up Vision? And in this case, we decide to do Dragon because it's just right there. And another thing is, here's more for like general things. When you do Baron, make sure you have a ping, so at least you know it's worth it. Here we know it's worth it, but we're just trying to pull them in and just try to make them fight us because I'm stronger. I can kill most of their team. Like, even though my teammates are not that strong, I could take care of most of them just because Hecarim is that strong. So we push the Rengar out, we finish the Baron, and the fight starts. Riven ults, I chase Dilution, I missed my ult, but you can see how much damage I'm doing to him with the combination of Triforce, the Sheen proc, my move speed, Baron buff, and if you notice, my teammates aren't that fed. They're actually pretty behind. I'm the only one who's strong enough, and I could carry that team fight single-handedly. Here's an example of how you want to start team fights. You just run at them. You do not use your ultimate to initiate the fight, because you want to use it after they use their escape, just like so. I run at the Kog'Maw, knock him back, his team tries to peel for him, and then it doesn't work out, so he has to flash out, and once he flashes out, then I use my ultimate to secure the kill. But since he was already low and his flash was down, I could have secured the kill without having to rely on my ultimate. Once again, I wasted it. And now that we know how to play the game and how to play Hecarim, let's see how not to play him. This is an example of what things you mustn't do. Never start a team fight 1v4 against their fed carries. Don't dive 1v3, because this is what happens. You will get kited, you will get CC'd, you will eat everything from the enemy team, and you will die. And especially if your teammates aren't in position or aren't ready to fight. And you never want to give out kills away, because remember, morale is extremely important in the game. Me as the fed carry, if I die, then I let the enemy team know that I'm actually mortal, that I can die. But if I never die, or I rarely die, then they will focus me all the time because I'm that raid boss they must take down. Great, we get aced because of me. Another thing you want to avoid as much as possible is tower diving. Like, alright, you burn a flash and he flashes into his tower, that's cool, you should just go. But here we dive recklessly, and I have a big bounty on my head, and the Aurelia is behind, but she gets back in the game for a bit because she gets the kill on me. So don't dive, please. Just don't dive. It's not worth it. It's never worth it to trade 1 for 1. Ever. 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 I hope that's clear. On the topic of morale, here's a tip and trick that I want you guys to try out. When you're super fed, be smart about it. Use it to your advantage. Try to destroy the enemy team. Make them feel that you're a threat. Make them target you. Draw fire away from your team. Increase your team's morale because they're going to see that you're fed and they're going to be like, wow, this guy is carrying us. Let's try to play our best. And just show who's the man. And here's an example of who the man is. Killing someone under his turret while tanking him and tanking the turret and then taking the turret in front of his face. Now that's a good morale boost. Another tip for Hecarim, and if you guys want to main Hecarim someday, he is bursty. Extremely bursty. Deceptively bursty. You would not expect some of the damage he can do. And look at this. This Lucian tries to mess with me. And I show him who's the boss. I'm gonna use that level 2 power spike to show him who's the man. And Lucian is not the man. He's dead. And again, we see how much damage and burst we can do to squishy targets easily. Even AoE damage is actually pretty incredible. And that Q has such a low cooldown for the damage it deals, it's insane. Insane. It's like insane in the membrane. And again, burst it. Boom. Just trampled. And we move along. Alright, let's do a small recap of the important points to remember. Remember that when you gank, you try to come from behind or from the sides. In team fights, you either want to die or peel, but if you can burst someone from 100 to 0, do it, and you will be able to do it if you're fed. You want to show who's the boss, you want to show your team that you're the carry, and that they can rely on you for carrying. And you have to show the enemy team that you're a threat, so they target you. And you never want to start 4v1 fights, outnumber fights, don't start fights you can't win. And remember, don't tower dive, and don't trade 1 for 1s. And if you remember all that, then you should be good to go, and I hope you have fun playing Hecarim. So if you guys like it, rate it, hate it, subscribe, like, whoever, leave a comment, leave if there's any changes to be made for other videos, any champions you guys would like. And most importantly, I hope you guys had fun with it, and I hope you guys have fun with one of my favorite champions, Hecarim. So I hope to see you guys later. So take care, guys.